I was sitting in the middle of writing a paper, and I hear the Holy Spirit say to me, you have to stop trying to fill in the gap. And I was just like, Naturally, when he talks to me, I have no idea what he's talking about. So my response is to say, what do you mean? Can you explain this? Then sometimes I leave it there because I feel like his response isn't going to be immediate. This might be one of those things that he communicates to me over a month, and then I look back and I say, oh, like, I understand. That wasn't the case for this statement. I asked the Lord, what do you mean by trying to fill in the gap? Over the course of the last 3 months, the Lord has said, Deanna, you have to move forward. He has my yes, and he knows that he has my yes. My heart is so willing, but then I see my body do things that speak opposite of what my heart is communicating. And that's when it hit me. He said, Deanna, you have to stop trying to fill in the gap. He gave me the example of Jesus in the garden. I always feel like, how could an example of Jesus possibly relate to my life? Like, he was fully God and fully man, but he didn't sin. And so even in that aspect, there's this big disconnect. But nonetheless, the Lord gave me the example of Jesus being in the garden and crying out and saying, if there's any other way. And it wasn't just a cry, it was a desperate plea, because his body did not want to go through what he knew he was about to have to go through. But his spirit at the end of that said, nonetheless, your will be done. The Lord said to me, Deanna, you're trying to fill in the gap where your spirit is willing, but your flesh, your body is weak. He said, in this place, you think I expect your spirit to be willing and your body to be willing. And that's just not the case. So instead, you try and prove yourself strong. Omit the feelings that you have. You don't talk to me about what is really happening around you. And you present yourself as this unfazed soldier when in reality you're breaking down like a child. He said to me, I want you to come to me like the child that's broken. Your job is not to fill up the gap between your spirit being willing and your flesh being weak, because in your weakness, I am strong and I fill in that gap. I said to him earlier this morning, Lord, you're going to have to help me through this. At every turn, I keep giving you my yes. Every day I wake up, I give you my yes with what you've asked me to do, who you've asked me to become, what you've asked me to release. But in the process, it seems like my body keeps failing me. My mind, my thoughts are racing. I reach for things that I know internally I don't want. Paul says that I do the thing that I don't want to do, and the thing that I do want to do, I don't do. For some reason, I think we've taken on the responsibility to fill that gap. In the meantime, I asked him, what am I supposed to do? Again, this is the Deanna that's hyper-focused on performance, something he continually has to break in me. He never really told me what I needed to do, but the direction was clear. You have to stop trying to fill in the gap. Allow your spirit to be willing and your flesh to be weak. And in that weakness, watch how I make you strong. That's part of this.